रन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Reading the translations from Brahma Samhita, chapter 5. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all, and he has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. The spiritual place of transcendental pastimes of Krishna is portrayed in the second verse. The super excellent station of Krishna, which is known as Gokula, has thousands of petals and a corolla like that of the lotus sprouted from a part of his infinitary aspect, the world of the leaves being the actual abode of Krishna. The world of that transcendental lotus is the realm wherein dwells Krishna. It's a hexagonal figure, the abode of the indwelling, predominated and predominating aspect of the Absolute. Like a diamond, the central supporting figure of self-luminous Krishna stands as the transcendental source of all potencies. The holy name, consisting of 18 transcendental letters, is manifested in a hexagonal figure with sixfold divisions. The world of that eternal realm, Gokula, is the hexagonal abode of Krishna. The petals are the abodes of gopis, who are part and parcel of Krishna, to whom they are most lovingly devoted and are similar in essence. The petals shine beautifully like so many walls. The extended leaves of that lotus are the garden-like dham, that is, spiritual abode of Sri Radhika, the most beloved of Krishna. The surrounding external plane of Gokula is described in this verse. There is a mysterious quadrangle place named Shvetadipa surrounding the outskirts of Gokula. Shvetadipa is divided into 4 parts on all sides. The abode of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha are separately located in each of these 4 parts. These 4 divided abodes are enveloped by the 4-fold human requirements such as piety, wealth, passion, and liberation, as also by the 4 Vedas, namely Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, which deal with the mantra and which are the basis of achievements of the 4-fold mundane requirements. 10 tridents are fixed in 10 directions, including the zenith and nadir. The 8 directions are decorated with the 8 jewels of Mahapadma, Padma, Shankha, Makara, Kachapa, Mukunda, Kunda, and Nila. There are 10 protectors, Dikpalas, of the 10 directions in the form of mantra. The associates of the hues of blue, yellow, red, and white, and the extraordinary potencies bearing the names of Vimala, etc., shine on all sides. The Lord of Gokula is the transcendental supreme Godhead, the own self of eternal ecstasies. He is the superior of all superiors and is busily engaged in the enjoyments of the transcendental realm and has no association with his mundane potency. Krishna never consorts with his illusory energy, still her connection is not entirely cut off from the absolute truth. When he intends to create the material world, the amorous pastime in which he engages by consorting with his own spiritual chit potency Rama, by casting his glance at the deluding energy in the shape of sending his time energy, is an auxiliary activity. The secondary process of association with Maya is described. Ramadevi, the spiritual chit potency, beloved consort of the Supreme Lord, is the regulatrix of all entities. The divine plenary portion of Krishna creates the mundane world. At creation, there appears a divine halo of the nature of his own subjective portion, Swamsha. This halo is divine Shambhu, the masculine symbol or manifested emblem of the Supreme Lord. This halo is the dim twilight reflection of the supreme eternal effulgence. This masculine symbol is the subjective portion of divinity who functions as progenitor of the mundane world, subject to the supreme regulatrix Niyati. The conceiving potency in regard to mundane creation makes her appearance out of the supreme regulatrix. She is Maya, the limited, non-absolute apara potency, the symbol of mundane feminine productivity. The intercourse of these two brings forth the faculty of perverted cognition, the reflection of the seed of the procreative desire of the Supreme Lord. All offspring of the consort of the great Lord Maheshwar of this mundane world are of the nature of the embodiment of the mundane masculine and feminine generative organs. The person embodying the material causal principle, namely the great Lord of this mundane world, Maheshwar, Shambhu, in the form of the male generating organ, is joined to his female consort, the limited energy Maya, as the efficient causal principle. The Lord of the world, Mahavishnu, is manifest in him by his subjective portion in the form of his glands. The Lord of mundane world, Mahavishnu, possesses thousands of heads, eyes, hands. He is the source of thousands of avtaras in his thousands of subjective portions. He is the creator of thousands of individual souls. The same Mahavishnu is spoken of by the name of Narayan in this mundane world. From that eternal person has sprung the vast expanse of the water of the spiritual causal ocean. The subjective portion of Sankarshan, who abides in Paravyoma, the above Supreme Purusha with thousands of subjective portions, reposes in the state of divine sleep, Yoga Nidra, in the waters of the spiritual causal ocean. The spiritual seeds of Sankarshan, existing in the pores of skin of Mahavishnu, are born as so many golden sperms. These sperms are covered with 5 great elements. The same Mahavishnu entered into each universe as his own subjective portions. The divine portions that entered into each universe are possessed of his majestic extension, that is, they are the eternal universal soul Mahavishnu, possessing thousands of heads. The same Mahavishnu created Vishnu from his left limb, Brahma, the first progenitor of beings, from his right limb, and from the space between his 2 eyebrows, Shambhu, the divine masculine manifested halo. The function of Shambhu in relation to Jivas is that this universe, enshrining the mundane egotistic principle, has originated from Shambhu. Thereupon, the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajapati, and Shambhu, entering into the mundane universe, plays the pastimes of preservation, creation, and destruction of this world. This pastime is contained in the mundane world. Hence, it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahavishnu, prefers to consort with the goddess Yoga Nidra, the constituent of his own spiritual chit potency, full of the ecstatic trance of eternal bliss, appertaining to his own divine personality. When Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk, wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden lotus with its stem is the abode of Brahma, representing the Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. Before their conglomeration, the primary elements in the nation state remained originally separate entities. Non-application of the conglomerating process is the cause of their separate existence. Divine Mahavishnu, primal Godhead, through association with his own spiritual chit potency, moved Maya, and by the application of the conglomerating principle, created those different entities in the state of cooperation. And after that, he himself consorted with Yoga Nidra by way of his eternal alliance with his spiritual chit potency. By conglomerating all the separate entities, he manifested the innumerable mundane universes and himself entered into the inmost recess of every extended conglomerate, Virat Vigraha. At that time, those jivas who had lain dormant during the cataclysm were awakened. The same jiva is eternal and is for eternity and without a beginning joined to the Supreme Lord by the tie of an eternal kingship. He is transcendental spiritual potency. The divine lotus that springs from the navel pit of Vishnu is in every way related by the spiritual tie with all souls and is the origin of 4-phase Brahma versed in the 4 Vedas. On coming out of the lotus, Brahma, being guided by the divine potency, turned his mind to the act of creation under the impulse of previous impressions, but he could see nothing but darkness in every direction. Then the goddess of learning Saraswati, the divine consort of the Supreme Lord, said thus to Brahma, who saw nothing but gloom in all directions. O Brahma, this mantra, namely, Klim Krishnaya Govindaya, Gopi Jan Vallabhaya Swaha, will assuredly fulfill your heart's desire. O Brahma, do thou practice spiritual association by means of this mantra, then all your desires will be fulfilled. Brahma, being desirous of satisfying Govinda, practiced the cultural acts for Krishna in Goloka, Lord of Shwetdipa, for a long time. His meditation ran thus: there exists a divine lotus of 1,000 petals, augmented by millions of filaments in the transcendental land of Goloka. On its world there exists a great divine throne on which is seated Sri Krishna, the form of eternal effulgence of transcendental bliss, playing on his divine flute, resonant with the divine sound, with his lotus mouth. He is worshipped by his amorous milkmaids with their respective subjective portions and extensions, and also by his external energy, who stays outside, embodying all mundane qualities. Then Gayatri, mother of the Vedas, being made manifest, that is imparted by the divine sound of the flute of Sri Krishna, entered into the lotus mouth of Brahma, born from himself through his 8-ear holes. The lotus-born Brahma, having received the Gayatri, sprung from the flute song of Sri Krishna, attained the status of the twice-born, having been initiated by the supreme primal preceptor, Godhead himself. Enlightened by the recollection of that Gayatri, embodying the 3 Vedas, Brahma became acquainted with the expanse of the ocean of truth. Then he worshipped Sri Krishna, the essence of all Vedas, with this hymn. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire, in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose 2 hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful 3-fold bending form of Shyam Sundar is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of the transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who is accessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet, he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primal Lord whom I adore. I adore the same Govinda, the primal Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining the appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, residing in his own realm Goloka with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidant Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who is Shyam Sundara Krishna himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Narsimha, Vamana, etc. as his subjective portions. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, whose effulgence is the source of the non-differentiated Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads. Being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, appears as the indivisible, infinite, limitless truth. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, who is the absolute substantive principle, being the ultimate entity in the form of the support of all existence, whose external potency embodies the threefold mundane qualities, namely sattva, rajas, and tamas, and diffuses the Vedic knowledge regarding the mundane world. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes, being reflected in the mind of recollecting souls as a transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. Lowest of all is located Devi Dham, mundane world. Next above is Mahesh Dham, abode of Mahesh. Above Mahesh Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. The external potency Maya, who is the nature of the shadow of the Chit potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from it, its cause, that is milk, so I adore the primal Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. The light of one candle being communicated to other candles, although it burns separately in them, is the same in its quality. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, who exhibits himself equally in the same mobile manner in his various manifestations. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, who, assuming his own subjective form, who bears the name of Shesha, replete with the all-accommodating potency, and reposing in the causal ocean with the infinity of the world in the pores of his hair, enjoys creative sleep, Yoga Nidra. Brahma and other lords of the mundane worlds, appearing from the pores of hair of Mahavishnu, remain alive as long as the duration of one exhalation of the latter Mahavishnu. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, of whose subjective personality Mahavishnu is the portion of portion. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, from whom the separative subjective portion Brahma receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world, just as the sun manifests some portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bear the names of Suryakanta, etc. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his elephant head, in order to obtain the power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. The three worlds are composed of 9 elements, namely fire, earth, ether, water, air, direction, time, soul, and mind. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, from whom they originate, in whom they exist, and into whom they enter at the time of the universal cataclysm. The sun, who is the king of all the planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primal Lord Govinda. In pursuance of his order, the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, by whose conferred power are maintained the manifested potency that are found to exist of all virtues, all vices, the Vedas, the penances, and all jivas, from Brahma to the meanest insect. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each the due employment of the fruits, the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities, of all those who walk in the path of work, in accordance with the chain of the previously performed works, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name of Indragopa, than in that of Indra, the king of the Devas. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him, under the sway of wrath, amorous passion, natural friendly love, fear, parental affection, delusion, reverence, and willing service, attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation. I worship that transcendental seat known as Shvetadvipa, where as loving consorts, the Lakshmis in their unalloyed spiritual essence practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Krishna as their only lover, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is a purpose gem, all water is nectar, every word is a song, every gait is a dance, the flute is a favorite attendant, effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty. Where numberless cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away, even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka only to a very few self-realized souls in this world. On hearing these hymns containing the essence of truth, the Supreme Lord Krishna said to Brahma, Brahma, if you experience the inclination to create offspring by being endowed with the real knowledge of the glory of the Godhead, listen, my beloved, from me to this signs set forth in the following 5 shlokas. When pure spiritual experience is excited by means of cognition and service, bhakti, super excellent unalloyed devotion, characterized by love for Godhead, is awakened towards Krishna, the beloved of all souls. The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees, by the matter of constant endeavor for self-realization, with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic content, and perseverance in practice. These preliminary practices of devotion, sadhana bhakti, are conducive to the realization of loving devotion. Loving devotion than whom there is no superior well-being, who goes hand in hand with the attainment of the exclusive state of supreme bliss, and who can lead to myself. Abandoning all meritorious performances, serve me with faith. The realization will correspond to the nature of one's faith. The people of the world act ceaselessly in pursuance of some ideal. By meditating on me by means of those deeds, one will obtain devotion characterized by love in the shape of supreme service. Listen, O Vidhi, I am the seed, that is the fundamental principle of this world of animate and inanimate objects. I am Pradhan, the subject of matter. I am Prakriti, material cause, and I am Purusha, efficient cause. This fiery energy that belongs specially to the Brahman, that inheres in you, has also been conferred by me. It is by bearing this fiery energy that you regulate this phenomenal world of animate and inanimate objects. Thus end the translations to Brahma Samhita chapter number 5. And I have good news that the speaker for today, Her Grace Gandarvika Mataji, has arrived here. So I will request her to come and take the asana. Thank you so much for listening.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। Thank you all for joining. So thanks to Shraddha Mataji for reading the English translations of Brahma Samhita. Now let's read the Sanskrit verses. Chintamani prakara sadma sukalpa vriksha lakshávriteshu surabhira bipalayantam lakshmi sahasra shata sambrama sevyamanam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami venam kvanantamaravinda dalaya daksham barhavatam samasitambuda sundarangam kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami alola chandra kalasattvanamalya vamsi ratnangadam pranayakeli kalavilasam shyamam tribhangalalitam niyata prakasham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujjvala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami advaitamachyutamanadimanantarupam adyam purana purusham navayauvanam cha vedeshu durlabhamadurlabhamatma bhaktau govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami pantastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayoratapi manaso muni pungavanam sopyasti yat prapadasimnya vichintya tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami ekopya saura chayitum jagadanda kotim yachaktirasti jagadanda chayaya dantaha andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami yadbhava bhavi tadiyo manujastataiva samprapya rupa mahimashanayana bhusha suktairyameva nigama pratitaistuvanti govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabis tabhiryayeva nijarupataya kalabhihi golokayeva nivasatya kilatma bhuto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam tamadi purusham tamaham bhajami ramadi murtishu kala niyamena tishtan nanavataram akarod bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam samabhavat paramapumanyo govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti kotishvashesha vasudadi vibhuti bhinnam tad ब्रह्मनिष्कलमनन्तमशेषभूतं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि माया हि यस्य जगदण्डशतानि सूते त्रैगुण्यतद्विषयवेदवितायमाना सत्त्वावलम्बि परसत्त्वं विशुद्धसत्त्वं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आनन्दचिन्मयरसात्मतया मनस्सु यः प्राणिनां प्रतिपलन् स्मरतामुपेत्य लीलायितेन भुवनानि जयत्यजस्रं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोलोकनाम्नि निजदाम्नि तले च तस्य देवी महेशहरिधामसुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभावनिचया विहिताश्च येन गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि सृष्टिस्थितिप्रलयसाधनशक्तिरेका चायेव यस्य भुवनानि बिभर्ति दुर्गा इच्छानुरूपमपि यस्य च तिष्ठते सा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि क्षीरं यथा दधिविकारविशेषयोगात् सञ्जायते न हि ततः पृथहस्ति हेतो यः शम्भुतामपि तथा समुपैति कार्यात् गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि दीपाच्चिरेव हि दशान्तरमभ्युपेत्य दीपायते विवृतहेतुसमानधर्मा यस्तादृगेव हि दशया विभाति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यः काननार्वजलभजति स्म योगा निद्रामनन्तजगदण्डसरोमकूपा आधारशक्तिमवलम्ब्य परां स्वमूर्तिं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्यैकनिश्वसितकालमतावलम्ब्य जीवन्ति लोमविलजा जगदण्डनाथा निक्स्नोर्महान् स इह यस्य कलाविशेषो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यश्चक्षुरेश सविता सकलाग्रहाणां राजा समस्तसुरमूर्तिरशेषतेजः यस्साज्ञया भ्रमति सम्भ्रतकालचक्रो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि धर्मोऽथ पापनिचया श्रुतियस्तपांसि ब्रह्मादिकीटपतगावधयश्च जीवः यद्दत्तमात्रविभवा प्रकटा प्रभावा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्त इन्द्रगोपमथवेन्द्रमहो सकर्मा बन्धानुरूपफलभाजनमातनोति कर्माणि निर्दहति किन्तु च भक्तिभाजं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यं क्रोधकामसहजा प्रणयादिभीति वात्सल्यमोहगुरुगौरवसेव्यभावे सञ्चिन्त्य तस्य सदृशीं तनुमापुरेते गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि श्रियाकान्तः कान्तः परमापुरुषः कल्पत्रवो भ्रूमाद्रूमेश्चिन्तामणिगणमयी तोयममृतम्
कथागानं नाट्यं गमनमपि वंशी प्रियसखी चिदानन्दं ज्योतिः परमपि तदास्वाद्यमपि च स यत्र शिराद्भिः स्रवति सुरभिभ्यश्च सुमहान् निमेषार्धाख्यो वा व्रजति न हि यत्रापि समयः भजे श्वेत्वाद्वीपं तमहम् इह गोलोकमिति यं विदन्तस्ते सन्तक्षितिविरलचारा कतिपये उवाच महाविष्णुर्भगवन्तं प्रजापतिं ब्रह्मन् महत्त्वविज्ञाने प्रजासर्गे चचेन्मतिः पाञ्चश्लोकम् इमां विद्यां वत्स दत्तां निबोध मे प्रबुद्धे ज्ञानभक्तिभ्याम् आत्मनि आनन्दचिन्मयी उदेति अनुत्तमा भक्तिर्भगवत्प्रेमलक्षणा प्रमाणैस्तत्सदाचारैस्तदभ्यासैर्निरन्तरं बोधयनात्मनात्मानं भक्तिमपि उत्तमां लभेत यस्या श्रेयस्करं नास्ति यया निवृत्तिमाप्नुयात् या साधयति मामेव भक्तिं तामेव साधयेत् धर्मामन्यान् परित्यज्य मामेकं भज विश्वसन् यादृशी श्रद्धा सिद्धिर्भवति तादृशी कुर्वन् निरन्तरं कर्म लोकोऽयम् अनुवर्तते तेनैव कर्मणा ध्यायन् मां परां भक्तिमिच्छति अहं हि विश्वस्य चराचरस्य बीजं प्रधानां प्रकृतिपुमांश्च मया हितं तेज इदं बिभर्षि विदेहि त्वमतो जगन्ति ईश्वर परमकृष्ण सच्चिदानन्द विग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकारणकारणम् इति श्रीब्रह्मसंहितसम्पूर्णम् हरि ओम्. So before we proceed to the class, let's read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is the very shortest chapter, which is the 12th one. Let's read the Sanskrit verses of 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Arjuna uvacha evam satatayukta ye bhaktastvam paryupasate ye chapi aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Yes. So I was We may think that for these Sanskrit verses, we may not understand the meaning of these verses, but the sound vibration acts at a much higher level than what we think. Even in the mundane world, right? If I have a body pain and I take a Brufen, I find a relief within 4 hours. But if I ask, like, how does it work? I may not be able to explain, but the doctors and the inventors of Brufen can tell that why it works that way. But it creates lots of bad side effects, right? But the vibrations that we hear that are coming from the mouth of Krishna are so powerful that it removes the pain that we go through in this material world at various levels, at our emotional levels and very subtle levels. So that's why we should know the meaning as we grow up in spiritual life. But even just by taking it as a medicine for our purification has a tremendous effect on our consciousness. So we should always be very happy and enthusiastic to hear of the words that emanate from the Supreme Lord. So let's start this chapter. Arjuna Uvacha Evam satata yukta ye bhaktastvam paryupasate ye chapi aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddaya Parayopetas Te Me Yukta Tamamataha Ye Tvaksharam Anirdesham Avyaktam Paryupasate Sarvatra Gamma Chintyam Cha Kutastvam Achalam Dhruvam Sanniyam Yendriyagramam Sarvatra Samabuddhayah Te Prapnuvanti Mameva Sarvabhuta Hiterataha Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dekhavadbir avapyate Etu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate Teshamaham samuddarta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavamina chirat pata maya veshita chetasam mayyeva manadatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivashishyasi mayyeva ata urdvam na samshayaha atachittam samadhatum na shaknosi mayi stiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichaptum dhananjaya abhyasepya samartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi ataitadepya shaktosi Kartum adyogamashritah sarva karma palatyagam tata kuru yatatmavan shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat jnanad dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma palatyagas tyagat chantiranantaram Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna yevacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma dridhanishchayaha mayyarpita mano buddhir yomad bhakta same priyaha yasman nodvijate loko Lokan nodvijate chayaha harsham harshabhayodvegair mukto yassa chame priyaha anapekshaha shuchirdaksha udasino gatavyataha sarvaramba parityagi yomad bhakta same priyaha Yo na hrishyati na dveshti, na shochati na kankshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktimanya same priyaha. समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयो शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्मामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्ते अतीव मे प्रियः ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे कृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम 12 हरिः ओम्. So let's get started for today. Before before a few days, I was just talking to my Prabhu, and I told I don't know what topic to speak on, and he asked me like, what are your audience? What are their type? And I said I don't know, and then he said, then you talk on the subject on which you want to improve. So that was a nice suggestion. So I just thought that I have to improve on my hearing. So I chose this verse, and I thought I'll share with you the realizations and also get more inspiration from you. This is Bhagavatam verse, Canto 2, Chapter 8, verse 5. Two, 8, 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's okay, Prabhu. I could see the screen. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Pravishtah karnarandrena Swanam bhava saroruham
Swanam bhava
Dunoti shamalam Krishnaha
Dhunoti shamalam Krishnaha
Salilasya yata sharat.
Shaliyasya yathashara.
Mataji, please. We'll repeat. Go to the verse, Mataji. We'll have the devotees repeat the verse. Yes.
Pravishtaha karnarandrena
Pravishtaha karnarandrena
Swanam bhava saroruham
Swanam bhava saroruham
Dhunoti shamalam Krishnaha
Dunoti shamalam Krishnaha
Salilasya yathasharat.
Salilasya yatasharat.
प्रविष्टः कर्मरन्ध्रेण
Pravishtaha karnarandrena
स्वानां भावासरोरुहं
Swanam bhava saroruham
धुनोति समलं कृष्णः
Dunoti shamalam Krishnaha
सलीलस्य यथा सरात्.
Salilasya yatasharat. Anybody else? Okay, let's go ahead with the word by word translation. Pravishtaha, thus being entered. Karnarandrena, through the holes of ears. Swanam, according to one's liberated position. Bhava, constitutional relationship. Sara Ruham, the lotus flower. Dunoti, cleanses. Shamalam, the material qualities like lust, anger, avarice and hankering. Krishnaha, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Salilasya, of the reservoir of waters. Yata, as it were. Sharat, the autumn season. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna. Can you go up a little bit, Mataji? The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. Purport. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee, like Narada or Shukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one's spiritual master, as Narada was by Brahmaji, cannot only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. The comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy. But in the month of July-August, the autumn season, when there is a slight rainfall, the muddy waters of rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water, like that of a metropolitan waterworks tank, can be cleared, but by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. A powerful devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self but also many others in his association. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics can simply cleanse one's own heart. But devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general by the devotional service of the pure, empowered devotee. A true representative of the Lord, like Narada, Shukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura and Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, etc. etc. includes Srila Prabhupada and all his disciples and grand disciples, can deliver all the people by their empowered devotional service. By sincere efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one realizes his constitutional relationship with the Lord in the transcendental humor of servitude, friendship, parental affection, or conjugal love. And by such self-realization, one becomes situated at once in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Not only were all the pure devotees like Narada self-realized souls, but they were engaged in preaching work automatically by spiritual impetus. And thus they delivered many poor souls entangled in the material modes. They became so powerful because they sincerely followed the Bhagavatam principles by regular hearing and worshipping. Again, they became so powerful because they sincerely followed the Bhagavatam principles by regular hearing and worshipping. By such actions, the accumulated material lusts, etc., becomes cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. Again, by such actions, the accumulated material lusts, etc., becomes cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. The Lord is always within the heart of the living entity, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. Purification of the heart by culture of knowledge or mystic yoga may be all right for the time being for an individual person, but it is like cleansing of a small quantity of stagnant water by a chemical process. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being and the sediments settle down, but by a slight agitation, everything becomes muddy. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good. Whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being, there is a risk of becoming muddy again due to the agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. So, can we read the Guru Pranam prayers, Mataji? Maybe the shorter version. Okay. Vande Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpadarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can we go back to the verse, Mataji? And let's read the translation again. In the browser? Yeah. Yes. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. So, here in the purport, Prabhupada was explaining the power of hearing and how simply by hearing Krishna, by his personal effort, removes all the dust within the heart. Now let's talk about the power of those dirt that are within the heart, because we suffer because we have some distorted desires, material desires within our heart to enjoy ourselves. So why does it come? Because of our previous impressions that we had in many lifetimes. Vaisheshika Prabhu always gives this example from the Shastra, that if we want to count how many lifetimes we have taken, he says that if we just put the dead bodies that we had taken in our previous lives, And from the earth, if we just stack it up, it'll cover the sun. So that many lifetimes we have taken. And so you can think of that much dirt that we have accumulated in our heart. And these days people say that it's very, like you do some hatha yoga or do some breathing exercise and we can control the mind. But that's not what Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Because Arjuna says, before we go to what Arjuna says, let's talk about something that happened very recently. We heard about Irma and the damage that hurricane caused to all the people and land and everything, right? But even though the American Army, Air Force and Navy is the most powerful in the world, they didn't, when the Hurricane Irma came, they didn't give a notice that, oh, don't go anywhere. We have all the power in the world. This is just a wind. We can control the wind. They didn't say like that. They said, they gave an emergency warning that everybody should evacuate, like by this time, because of fear, right? They're afraid of the wind and it cannot be controlled. But why I was talking about this wind is that's what Arjuna says to Krishna. He confesses to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita that, Krishna, I think that I can even control that wind. Arjuna has confidence that he can control Irma, but he has no confidence that he can control his mind. So we can think of how it's hopeless to control our mind. But here, Prabhupada is giving us some hope by saying that if you hear Krishna within our heart, by his personal endeavor, he removes all the dirt from our hearts and then he purifies it. And by that purification, we are able to control our mind to focus it on Krishna. So, but how all these things happen and where do we take our baby step? The baby step is in hearing. Now, we have been hearing for a long time. At least I have been hearing for a long time. But sometimes you may think that I have been hearing, but then I'm not feeling that my mind is being controlled. I'm not feeling that there is some progress that I have made. So I was just thinking about that, and I thought I'll share some points that I have heard with your permission, because here I have Shraddha Mataji and Ramanand Saka Prabhu and other devotees who are much exalted and they have perfected by hearing and worshipping exactly. So with their blessings, I just thought I'll start sharing. And here, the main thing that's required, as Krishna also says, that one should approach a spiritual master and hear from him submissively. Because if we don't hear if we don't hear with that submissiveness, then there will not be purification. Because we hear in our office work and everywhere we are forced to hear. This hearing is very important, because why do we have so many meetings all the time, and town hall meetings and some orchestras and so many things? Because this material world is full of hearing. Because this hearing is so much powerful that by hearing we can deliver, by hearing we can also get conditioned, right? Where do we see this? Because Parikshit Maharaj heard with such a focus, and he got delivered. But we also hear the material sound vibrations, which forces us into the depth of nescience that we completely forget what is the purpose of this human life. Because through sound vibration in this material world, they create an artificial situation where you have to feel the need to be happy by having those things that are artificial and those unnecessary necessities as Vaisheshika Prabhu puts it. So all those unnecessary requirements are created and we become overwhelmed by this science. Both happens by hearing. So that's why this hearing in this submissive attitude is very important, because we have to understand the reason why we have to hear and what is the ultimate good that's involved in hearing. So I heard some pastimes that Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj was sharing about his realization with Srila Prabhupada. So he was hearing that even Prabhupada or some of his god brothers used to share this story. So he was saying that the first thing one has to hear is one has to hear with intelligence. And Prabhupada also insists that he used to insist the same points again and again and again, because in his books, in his lectures, in his letters to his disciples, maybe a simple point, but Prabhupada will repeat it again and again because he wants to convey that message. There is the story of Paramartha Guru. You may all have heard this before. I think Gauranga Prabhu also mentioned this story when he came once here to ISV. There was Guru and a Shishya, and he was the Guru was going in the front, and then he was going back in the horse, and then at one point some books fell down, and this disciple is little, like, he doesn't get it first time. So when some things fell off from the Guru's cart, he didn't pick up, and then after going some distance, the Guru realized that things are missing, and he asked the disciple, "Did you see things fall off? Did you pick up?" And he said, "No, Guru Maharaj, you didn't give me that instruction." So he said, "Okay, now whatever falls off, you pick up." And then it started going. Then the horse started passing stool. So he started collecting that and he offered it to Guru. And then the Guru becomes like really angry, and he said, what is this? Why are you offering this to me? And he said, "Because you said that whatever falls off, you pick up. So this is what fell off, and then I picked up." And then the Guru said, "Okay, now let me tell you what and all you should pick up." So the Guru, he started noting down the bag, the book, the pots. He started making a list. So, and then they started going their journey. And then after some time, like something happened, and the horse started going very fast. And then the Guru started falling off. And then immediately this disciple took the list and started noting down if the item is there in his list. And then somehow everything happened, and then he came to the Guru, and then the Guru asked, "I was falling off, why didn't you pick up?" He said that you were not mentioned in the list that you gave me. So it's easy to be a disciple, but we have to use our intelligence to follow the instructions. If we simply be foolish, then it won't act upon us. So we have to be intelligent, and in applying those instructions, and we should understand the circumstances and hear it and apply it very intelligently. So that is very important. So with that, Maharaj was saying that he used to be a personal secretary of Srila Prabhupada, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj and everybody used to go and preach, and they used to come and give so many nice results from their Sankirtan and all their good preaching work, and Prabhupada used to be happy and he used to appreciate them. But here Satswarup Das Goswami was his personal secretary, and then he was just doing some service for Prabhupada and typing and all the secretary service, and he thought that, maybe am I taking it really easy, because I'm not doing that big of what others are doing. Maybe they are praising Prabhupada so very much. And then he started pondering upon what he should do. At that time, he gets this realization, and that's what he was sharing, that he realized that instead of envying, he realized that I have been fortunate that I got this association of Srila Prabhupada to be very close to him. So let me not take him for granted. You know, sometimes when we go very close to a person, we see them as an ordinary person. So he went to Prabhupada, he got the opportunity to go to Prabhupada very close, and then he started putting more effort. He didn't even think that, oh, I am very close to Prabhupada, I don't need to put extra effort to hear or read his books or anything like that. But he started realizing that because I am close to Prabhupada and the time is very short, let me hear at every opportunity that I have with him. So he started, whenever Prabhupada went for morning walks and he gave lectures in the temple, he made extra effort to hear from Prabhupada. And he started realizing that just by that hearing and by doing whatever work, typing work or editing work that Srila Prabhupada gives him, by doing that work very sincerely, he felt that he will develop a sincere urge to hear from him, and through that hearing he will develop the strength to go and preach. And then he shares that just by realizing this and putting into practice, his desire to hear from his spiritual master increased to a greater extent. So the first thing is we should hear with intelligence, and we don't need to make any extra endeavor. Whatever service we are doing, we should do it with all our heart, and doing that gives us more strength to hear. Not everybody can hear, because hearing is not very easy. Like just pull the child and ask him to hear something, it's very hard. To get the attention of anybody's, to get anybody's attention even for a moment is very hard. That's why we need some extra mercy and extra strength to be able to hear to hear about especially the spiritual topics. Why there are so many advertisements, right? My Prabhu was inquiring something to put a small advertisement somewhere, and for 1 week they made a calculation that 5 million people will see that. So if you put it on some highway, and it costs like $25,000, like only for a few minutes it will play every day. Then people see it only for a minute. Like why does it cost? It's not the cost of advertisement, it's not the cost of anything, it's the cost of getting people's attention. Because if we get people's attention even for a moment, these corporations spend so much money because their entire sustenance is dependent on the attention of the customers or the prospective customers, right? Similarly, on the other hand, if we put our attention in all the other things, as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, it's very sticky. Because if you go and search in the internet for something, and even if you're browsing something else, the stickiness is there, that the product that you are searching for will always, they'll automatically show it in their advertisement, right? Because we lay the trace in our browsing history. The same thing, like whatever we pay our attention to in hearing, we leave the remnants in our consciousness, and it will come up again and again in our consciousness. So this we can practically experience even in our day-to-day lives. Like for one day, if you wake up early in the morning and you spend your day maybe hearing a lecture of Prabhupada, especially first thing in the morning, or chanting the holy names or reciting Bhagavad Gita before sunrise, whatever you do, if you do it with all your attention, automatically during the day you may be washing pots, or you may be sending email, or you may be in a meeting, but suddenly that verse or the tune will come into your heart. Why is that? Like now start hearing the cinema songs that gets played in India in everywhere, like whether you get into the bus, get out of the bus and go in the taxi, everywhere one song plays. Now when you do something else, the same song comes up. So it's science. Same thing comes up. So that's why we should always put ourselves under the vibrations of the holy name. So it will then the process will become automatic. The sound vibrations will automatically come and protect us when we are in when we are in need of help. So that's a very important point. We should hear submissively, we should hear intelligently, and we should always put ourselves under the vibrations of the holy name. And next thing is, we should hear with eagerness and submissiveness, and we should never get bored. Now, let's hear about the part of eagerness. Eagerness, it's not that I'm sitting in the class and I'm getting bored and I'm thinking, when will the class be over? Because this eagerness doesn't come very easily. First of all, Prabhupada writes in one of the purports that simply by hearing, one can make progress in spiritual life. But simply by hearing. So there is iPad, there is iPod, there is my computer, so many gadgets that will play. So I can just play and I can hear, and I should be purified, right? But to play that, we need some eagerness. To load that song into the iPod, or to click that link where the lectures are going on, or to tune into that radio channel where Krishna's vibrations are going on. That is possible only when all our sinful reactions have been eradicated, or at least reduced. Then that eagerness comes. I remember when I started in Krishna consciousness, I always used to think that how come people just sit and talk about this something like this for so long? I can't read one paragraph for a long time because I'll be so bored. Because I feel, I used to think that these people don't have anything useful to do in their in their material life, and they don't have any goals, they don't want to accomplish anything. That's why they sit in here like this. But it took me almost like, I'm like a tortoise, like it takes many years. But it took many long years for me to even realize the fact that there has to be some kind of eagerness to hear this. That I developed mainly by sitting in class of Vaisheshika Prabhu and observing him very closely. And that's the next point. We'll hear about observing the Vaishnavas. Yes, Prabhu, here's some point. You have mic? Prabhu, could you please speak in mic, Prabhu, please?
Shall I sit there?
Yes, please.
Yeah, as far as my experience is concerned, actually I am a chef.
Sure.
I am a chef in Amber, India. So hearing is the tool. Once you hear it, any subject, that is not 100%. Once you hear a 1 hour class, you will get, I feel, only 5 to 10%. And reading the same subject, after you read and read and read, then you teach to somebody the same subject by asking the people questions. I feel that will give the 100%.
Very good. Yeah, true.
So
Yes.
that's
Thanks for sharing. Yes.
That's the only thing I want to tell you. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this that's how we develop the eagerness to hear. Now let's talk about how a person with eagerness hears. Maharaj Parikshit, when Sukadeva Goswami talks about Aghasura, he asks, how come you are saying that this pastime is happening after 1 year? Please go on expanding. And then when Krishna talks about Kaliya, that Krishna killed Kaliya, then Parikshit Maharaj asks, who is the snake? Why did Krishna kill him? Where did he come from? Why was he doing this? So now let's talk about Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is on the deathbed. Means he'll die in 7 days. Now when we are about to die, even if we want to travel, there are so many things that we think about, that how do I, my will, my this, my insurance, my that, and so many things. But he is a king, ruling almost the entire planet. Now how many responsibilities he must have had. But now he is hearing, and then he is asking these questions. That is eagerness. His eagerness was not affected by any of his anxiety or frustrations that he is facing in the material world. Only when we hear, only when we have eagerness, that real eagerness, that spiritual eagerness, we can hear, so that hearing can purify us. Now, we should not be thinking that, oh, when will this end so I can go and get to the next thing. But when we hear, we should be there and hear completely. Now, if we don't do that, then we may prolong our purification. We may even hear directly from Narada or directly from Krishna, but if we do not have this eagerness and attention, from eagerness comes attention. So if we do not hear with that eagerness, then there may not be purification. And we see this proof. Because when that purification is not there, then the result will also not be the same. So 10 people may go to Stanford University. One person may get a gold medal and come out. And another person can get a drunkard and become a drunkard and get caught by the police and spend his life in jail. But both of them got the same opportunity to go to Stanford. Like that, everybody gets the opportunity to hear from a Vaishnava or even directly from Krishna. But depending upon our eagerness and attention, the results may vary. Now, but we cannot blame it on the process, right? We cannot take one sentence from Prabhupada and say that, oh, Prabhupada said that, but it didn't happen to me. But we didn't apply the process correctly, right? Where do we see this? Kayadu and Prahalad. Kayadu was in a better position to hear from Narada Muni even than Prahalad, because Prahalad was in the womb, which is being in the womb is, we should read Bhagavatam. That's like you should be in an awkward sitting position, covered with stool, and worms are biting you. And that's such a disturbance. And now Prahalad is in that womb, but Kayadu's outside. Compared to the problem that Kayadu was facing, the problem that Prahalad faced was much precarious. But Kayadu didn't get the same benefit as what Prahalad got from hearing from Narada Muni. Because Krishna himself came as Narsinghadev to protect Prahalad, and Prahalad got the strength to go through all the problems that was put on him by his own father. From where did he get that strength? From what he heard from Narada with full attention. But Kayadu was not able to get the same benefit even though she was hearing. When you see from externally, it's both of them sat and heard. We cannot say anything externally, but it's about what happened within their heart. Kayadu was always anxious. When will my husband come? Because Hiranyakashipu was outside, her attachment. And second thing, like what will these demigods do? Will they come and will they kill my child? So much anxiety. But we also have so much anxiety, right? Like what will happen to this deliverable? What will happen to this case or something that's happening in our own lives? But if we shatter our attention towards all these things, we will not get the full benefit of hearing. In fact, all those problems will be automatically solved when we try to hear from Bhagavatam very sincerely. Then that will give an opportunity to hear more without all these disturbances. So initially that type of faith is required, that by putting myself, like allocating this 30 minutes to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, to sit in this lecture and hear, will give me opportunity to hear more in the future for a long period of time. So we should endeavor like that. So if we put 20% of our time now in hearing, and by doing it very sincerely, the situation will change that 80% of the time we can hear, and only all that 80% of the anxiety will automatically vanish. Not that we do that because our anxiety vanishes, but we get the higher benefit, and this is a side benefit, that all our external bad influences and anxieties and frustrations will be automatically relieved. Even if they are there, we will get the right attitude to approach them with the spiritual understanding. So that's why hearing with eagerness is very important. And another symptom of somebody who has got eagerness is that they'll be willing to hear irrespective of the person who is speaking, irrespective of the tune with which they sing. So here we already have examples, even though I am a beginner. We have Shraddha Mataji and Ramanand Sakka Prabhu eagerly blessing and empowering me to speak. Because otherwise sometimes devotees even share that if some new beginner talks, devotees just get up and walk away. Or of course there are sometimes we have to do something else, but as much as possible, whenever we come to hear, we should hear, no matter like whether the devotee is advanced or just beginning to talk, or if he is his first talk. Because even if somebody reads the purports of Srila Prabhupada, and if that's all he does in his whole lecture, it is still powerful, because the vibrations are powerful. And that's the way we show our submissiveness and humility to hear the Shastra, and not that the melody of the singer or the eloquence of the speaker. Of course all these things are very important, but still the message is very, very important. We have to be more attached to the essence of what is being spoken than all these. Of course the externals are required to attract the souls, but from when we see it from our perspective, we should be willing to hear the transcendental message coming from the authorized parampara, from any source. Even if the person is a beginner, from a sincere devotee we should hear. So those are all some symptoms of eagerness, and we should always be eager to hear, because with that eagerness comes real purification. Then we get the full benefit of hearing. We should not let any of our anxieties enter into our hearts when we hear. Like, they sometimes say that leave your slippers outside. Like that, as much as possible, we should try to leave our anxieties outside when we enter into a temple or an arena where we are going to hear a spiritual message. We don't do that when we give presentations. Like suppose if there is a big meeting happening and we are the presenters, no matter what happens in my personal life, I give full attention to that, because my career and my bonus, everything is depending on my performance, correct? Like that, we should have that much attention and sincerity and eagerness in our spiritual life also, in hearing. Or even if we put a percentage of that attention, sincerity and eagerness in hearing Krishna's words, then we'll make tremendous progress, and it'll touch our heart. The benefits will make us truly happy in Krishna consciousness. So That's the main message. Before we go into the next part, I want to hear if Mataji and Prabhu have any suggestions to realizations to share.
I have one suggestion, and that is you should be doing this more often.
Oh,
It
for
was
my
amazing.
purification, yes.
No, for our purification actually. And so when I came in the morning today and I came to know that you are teaching, I was very joyful because I was like, oh wow, now I'll get to hear different types of analogies and story. I mean, people know, I don't know, they are online now, that Gandarvika Mataji is the analogy queen when it comes to that. So, and that always helps in letting the things and letting the ideas sink into it. And for my own, relishment, I'm going to just repeat some of the ones that you brought in. And I really like the fact that when we were reciting the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you gave the nice example of having a brufane and not knowing how it works. And similarly, the Sanskrit verses also work. So that was very.
So I have a
nice.
question for you, Mataji, because when you came to Krishna consciousness, you didn't have any association. You got Srila Prabhupada's books, and we are talking about Shraddha Mataji. And you read almost the entire Bhagavatam, and you read day and night, and you started coming to the temple, and you took it very seriously. So, at the beginning of your spiritual life, what inspired you to hear from Srila Prabhupada, if you could enlighten us on that?
I think it was some agyat sukriti. It's very difficult to pinpoint and say what had happened, but I think I was one of those people who had been there, done that, and did not like it for all the various material things that were there. So I was ready, and I always tell people that I actually came into Krishna consciousness from being happy, because sometimes distressed people come to Krishna. But I didn't do that. I didn't come to Krishna because I was distressed. I was happy, and I was thanking him for all the material things that I got, which anyone can dream of. And then the question came to my mind was, then what next? What after that? After this life, what's going to happen? This is all going to finish. So that thought came, and then magically Krishna arranged, like you said in your lecture, that Krishna will make the arrangements and he'll remove the dirt. So for him, Krishna, it's a long plan. There's a lot of cleaning he has to do, but he arranged the Bhagavad Gita to appear in my life, and that's how it started. And one of the things which Prabhuji also mentioned about hearing and versus reading, and so although I was reading, but Prabhupada was speaking to me through the book. So I was hearing actually, and I just think that at certain stage in life, and I think you reach that level of sukriti that the words do sink into your head, because I'd read the Bhagavad Gita on my mother's deathbed. In 4 hours flat, I read the entire Bhagavad Gita, couldn't retain a single word of that.
Wow.
Didn't understand a single word of that. Till 9 years later, when I got Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita,
Wow.
it had a miraculous effect on me. Yeah.
That's great.
So when you are there with listening to Prabhupada and you are listening to him with attention, you are serving, exalted soul. So with that, the taste for hearing will go, as you were mentioning, the taste will go in even more. So that was there.
Thank you for being the living proof of how the power of hearing.
I don't know, it's all mercy. It's all the mercy. And then I think the best thing that I did was at a certain point in Srimad Bhagavatam, I just said that I need association of devotees. And that's also thanks to Prabhupada, because he emphasized, and you mentioned that in your lecture also, that Prabhupada repeats the things, and he repeats things a lot, like almost in every verse in Bhagavad Gita he was saying, get a spiritual master, get a spiritual master. And I was like, where will I get spiritual master in America? Because I had that bend of mind, but then I found a spiritual master in America, and association of devotees. Where will I find a temple? How will I drive to the temple? But then I came here. And that's the best thing, to be in the association of devotees, listen. From there you will get the desire to hear, and, and like you said, purification is an ongoing process. It just goes on and on, yeah.
Thank you.
So I like that. And I also like the story that you gave about the guru. And I'm like that, I keep on telling my Guruma, but you never tell me how to do, what to do, and I will not apply my brains. so that is there. And then, so the hearing intelligently part, that was very, very nice, yeah. And you want to add something?
Ramanand.
I want to say that she is natural. So it's not like she also made notes of what you spoke. So
That's her
really
humility.
that's really hearing. Okay. Regarding the subject of hearing, Prabhupada also mentions at many places that we have to hear from the lips of a pure devotee, and also we should not hear from those who are not devotees of Krishna, because even those who are not devotees of Krishna, they also speak about Krishna, and they may also present very nicely. Even though they are all subjects related to Krishna, if we hear from them, hearing from them is not recommended. And he gives the example of a foot touched by a snake, because even though the milk may be very nutritious, if it is touched by the lips of a snake, and if we drink that, we may not survive. So similarly, even though talks about Krishna should be heard only from the mouths of the devotees, not from non-devotees.
Yes. It's very rare to get that opportunity. So when we, as Ramanand Saka Prabhu was saying, we should hear from devotees. Now, finding such a great soul is very rare in this world, because out of billions and billions of souls, a very few may be looking for what is beyond the body. And out of that, very few may be taking up some process like Ashtanga Yoga or something like that. And amongst that, very few, maybe a few million, may be thinking about what is the supreme absolute truth. Amongst that, there is very few devotees, and even if there are many devotees, there are very, very few pure devotees. That's why when we get such an association, we should take advantage of that, and we should hear from them. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. To see a person who says that Vasudeva is everything is very rare. It's very rare. Because this is a material world. Like in a prison house, there may be hundreds and thousands of prisoners, but there will be only very few wardens, right? Like that, in this material world, we are all prisoners, conditioned by our own material desires and karma. These souls come from the spiritual world to deliver us, and it's very hard to see them. And when we hear them and observe them, we get the desire for hearing more. So that's what the next point I wanted to hear. Thank you for starting on that, Prabhu. Why we should hear from, how by hearing and by associating with pure devotees, our eagerness for hearing will increase. So now we are talking about hearing, but our discussion is about how we can really get the benefit of purifying and of all our material desires and getting that real taste for Krishna consciousness, because we have heard for many years and it has not worked. Now, another thing that we could do is, we saw we should hear submissively with eagerness, and those are the main things. And now the next thing is by associating and with pure devotees. Why? Because first of all, association means not just physical association, because in the material world, if we say association, hanging out with or having like a bodily proximity or whatever it is of a pure devotee. But that is also true, Vapu Seva and Vani Seva, we have both. So in spiritual life also, when we try to associate with pure devotees, by their every move, they practice what we hear. So Prabhupada talks about two things, person Bhagavatam and book Bhagavatam, right? So I hear Bhagavatam and I may not know how to apply that, right? So what do? I see a pure devotee in action. Then Satswarup Das Goswami also shares, and Hari Sauri Prabhu, he was also Prabhupada disciple, and he also writes many of his realization in his book. And he says, like, Prabhupada used to practice what he was writing, like he used to chant his rounds and his Gayatri, everything. And then he in his interaction, either with materialists or devotees, all the time, he never saw Prabhupada deviating from the principles of Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is a person Bhagavatam. So now when we live with people like that, our pride will be crushed. Why? Because when we live in our own lives and we also learn so many things, and when we may perfect at something, maybe we are very clean or we dress in a nice way or this and that, and when we go into association with the pure devotee, and with one word, they can correct the whole situation. You know, they'll completely make us bewildered. Like, oh, I was thinking that what I did is the best thing, but then what we may be doing is a big zero, because we don't have the understanding that I'm doing everything for Krishna. Because the pure devotees, in all situations, whether they are reading, writing, giving lecture, they are hearing their own glorification in their Vyasa Puja, or they are in their private lives, when they are breathing, walking, sitting, relaxing, eating, all the time, at every moment, they are Krishna conscious. But we are not. Because I come to the temple, I do some service, and then I see that it's 10 p.m., I want to go and rest. And the next day I think, whether should I come to temple? Oh, somebody else is giving lecture, I can sleep for more time. You see, that's my consciousness. But somebody who's a pure devotee, he doesn't think like that. His thing is, what will please Krishna? What is that I should do that will please Krishna? So he balances his life and molds his life around Krishna's pleasure and not our pleasure. But then we might think that, okay, everything Prabhupada has put in his books, and his our secretaries have put in their books on their realizations with Prabhupada. Now, why should I associate with a devotee today? Right? One might think like that. But now, the same example goes. There are many books in the universities. There are some libraries, some universities have the best libraries. And if you take one topic, they have like millions of books on that topic, written by the first encounter of the scientist, and then the scientist who researched on the outcome of the first scientist. And like that, there are so many things. And now we don't even, the library is like when I was young, but now I was hearing in Radheshyam Prabhu's lecture, he was about to give a seminar on some topic. So it was like youth, all of them are engineers. So he told them, can you please list some of the diseases that can come upon a human body? And he gave them 5 minutes. And then at the end of it, all of them came back and he said, so how many diseases have you listed? And they all said, we have 200 diseases. And he was, in 5 minutes, you came up with 200 diseases, and you're all engineers. I'm really surprised at your knowledge about medicine, because how do you know this? He said, Google search. You see? So, information is available so very easily and so much that it's kind of, it's an information age. We see information that like, first of all, it causes information indigestion. That's what it causes. We don't digest the information if we see that at a faster rate. Even scientists say that if the brain doesn't focus on one topic for a set number of time and you reflect on it, it doesn't go inside. Because that's the problem of the social media, right? You see one news, you don't wait to see even what they have to say. You just see the headlines and then you go to the next, you go to the next. There is nothing called parallel multitasking for the brain. It just does only one thing at a time, but it's just that the CPU time, it switches fast. That's it. That's what's happening in the brain. And at the end of browsing like that for 15 minutes, you sit to chant. The mind is not in it. First of all, you don't also remember, and even if you remember, you won't remember it for a long period of time. And then the mind doesn't get any satisfaction. It's some kind of a dissatisfaction in the mind. But rather, before sitting for chanting, if we hear or read about chanting for like 15 minutes, just on one topic, for 5 minutes if we hear, and if we sit to chant, that the mind will cooperate to hear, right? So like that, the information, it's not difficult to get information, and for that matter, it's not difficult to even get the information of the acharyas. There are so many lectures, so many presentations, so many like information pages. Everything is available on the internet. So then, why can't we read from that? Why can't Stanford give a PhD for you because you read from the internet or from library, from an authorized person? It doesn't. You have to go and do your thesis under a professor, and he should authorize that you have done this work. Then only you have to get you will get your doctorate. If that is true for a mundane, materialistic, irrelevant subjects, what to speak of something like, by doing PhD, it doesn't solve any of my problem. In turn, it increases my complexities in the material world, because none of those will solve our problem. We get deeper and deeper. But still, that doesn't solve my immediate problem, right? But still they do it because in general, people say that you have done something good for human society. You contributed positively to change, to make positive impact in others' lives. Even though it has some impact in our material lives. But it doesn't solve the problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. Now, this benefit that we get from reading Bhagavatam and practicing in our life is it's going to solve all the problems. So what makes us think that I don't need an association of a pure devotee? That's the most unfortunate thing. And it'll never happen that way. Because it'll never happen that we will be able to achieve success. It's extraordinarily rare that someone got it like that. Because only by the association of a Vaishnava, by seeing them, by being under them, no matter how harsh it is, how hard it is, how humiliating it is, we have to get the association of the pure devotees, and then our taste to hear will increase. And the taste that comes after that is the real taste. And at that time, it will have full effect on us. Like for example, if you put a stone inside the water and take it out of the water, does that, it doesn't observe anything. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, it's just like that. Our hearts are full, like rock, full of material desires. And by being amongst devotees and being like so many problems and everything that we face through and struggling to keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness, it gets softened, nicely. And when it becomes like a sponge, and then you put it in water, it'll absorb, right? Like that, our desire to hear and the effect that the hearing has upon us will increase when we put ourselves under the association of a Vaishnava and do not take them for granted, and always try to serve them in a very humble attitude. So that's very, very important. So second is hearing from a pure Vaishnava and being in his association. So that will help us to receive the maximum benefit of hearing. And another thing is, I'm not elaborating on this, but I'm just saying that hearing from those Vaishnavas will also remove our pride. Being in their association, once Radhanath Swami was with his disciples, and he was sharing, they had some book launch program, and Ajay Pramal or somebody had made a big program in Bombay for Maharaj, and Gauravani Prabhu was there, and they had a big kirtan. And then later when they were sharing, Gauravani Prabhu was saying that, Maharaj, everybody was saying that I was the star of the program. Means he's just open to Maharaj because I did nice kirtan. Everybody was saying that. And then he said, yeah, I take that. Maharaj was saying that. And then he said, yeah, Maharaj, I and my team are like stars. And then he said, but you are like the moon, Maharaj. And he said like that. And then Maharaj heard him, and then he thought, and he said, but the Ajay Pramal and his wife, they are like the sun, because I never knew that they'll make such a big program and put in so much, 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs to conduct that program. So from the sun, the moon gets light, and from the moon, the stars get light, right? So when we are in the association of Vaishnavas, we see their humility, and our pride gets crushed. No matter how good we are in our so-called talent and skills and so many things, because they have bhakti, right? And that is very important, that part gets removed from our, anartha gets removed from our consciousness. So that's why we should always be in the association of Vaishnavas. And I was, one more thing that I wanted to add, and another example that I want to share was that if we go and take bath in Ganges, it takes a very long time. It's said in the Shastras that people travel so long to take bath in Ganges. And they say that all your sins will be gone. But I'm sorry to say this, the prostitutes of Calcutta take bath in Ganges every day. You see? But they take bath and they go do the same thing next day. Why? Because it takes a prolonged period of time for it to get purified. But hearing from a Vaishnava, the effect is very immediate. That's why Mahat Seva is kind of millions of Ganges together, and the effect is the instant remedy for our problem. We should have this conviction. With this faith, we should approach them and hear them. Because we also said in the Shastras that these pure devotees purify even the holy places. So we should take advantage of that. We just have 3 minutes, and I'll share any reflections that you might, I want to hear any reflections that you might have. Okay, if not, one more point that I want to share is that this submissive hearing, hearing with eagerness, hearing with intense desire, hearing from a pure Vaishnava, and getting their association, all these things will increase the effect that or the return on our investment. Like the ROI will be very high if we implement all these things. So it's same 1.5 hours we'll hear, but if we hear with these attitudes, then our ROI will be more. But there is one more thing also that we could take much advantage of, that is that teachable moments. Teachable moment is like Radheshyam Prabhu was sharing this, that he was visiting, there was some industrialist and they were supposed to visit to his home, but something happened in his life before they went, because he is just a very wealthy industrialist and he was traveling on a Bombay-Pune highway or something, but on that day there was not much traffic, but suddenly he was besieged by so many people with guns and so many things, and he had like 20 lakhs or something in his hand, so they wanted him to give it, and he was like, his life was in, like, so he gave the money, and they said, and then after getting the money they thought maybe we should kill him, because if he's alive he will create more problems, so they wanted to kill him. But somehow they left him. The driver, when they were discussing amongst themselves, the driver took the car and he left off. So he got his life and he was at his home, and Radheshyam Prabhu had visited him. So at that time, this industrialist was sharing, I used to tell all these Bhagavad Gita and Vishnu Sahasranam, everything my grandparents used to sing when I was young. But now when I grew up, I was filled with wealth, and my daughter and my son, they are all from like doctorates from US universities and Ivy League, and they all have more money. I never thought about the importance of God. I never realized that how much importance that life is, how temporary. He never gave importance until he was threatened, that when he was about to lose his life. So he was saying that now I want to know more, because he's also like was a very old man, and he wanted to hear with eagerness from Radheshyam Prabhu. Otherwise, industrialists think that devotees come to beg from them. Their attitude is like that. But instances like this will happen in our life, where we have to learn. Like when I was coming here, I was at 60 on El Camino. Something was telling me that I shouldn't go this high, but I wasn't sure. Like I was late for the lecture, and so I was driving, and sure, they came, and then they parked me. And he said, I was like really in anxiety, and then he said, take your license. And then I'm just searching for my license. I saw my purse inside, but I couldn't find my license. I was searching. And then he said, okay. And he got the thing, and I said, see, I got late, that's why I went. And then he said, okay. And then he said, okay, give me your date of birth and name. And he was going and finding. But in the meantime, I found my license and I gave it to him, and then he came back and he said, okay, this time maybe you can waive me, because I'm sorry, I was anxious and things like that. And he told me one thing. He said, no, when I asked for the first time, you didn't give me, because you have to be more organized. He was just telling this, and it just shook me off. And then he said, You have to, I have to deal with something, so you have to go and see the papers. But he didn't say, I have to go and talk, that's what he said. But then he said, you have to be organized, because in an accident, when things come, your insurance and license, when I ask you, you should be able to give in 2 minutes. No cop has told me that. And I thought it was a teachable moment. Krishna wants me to be organized. It really hit me really deep. And I didn't think anything. I didn't tell him anything. Usually I beg them. And I just said, okay, thank you. And then I just took that. It was very hard. But then it's a teachable moment. Now it's a very hard lesson, at least out of fear. First of all, I won't take that risk. And second thing is I'll be more organized. So like that, teachable moments will come in our life, and those are, as Vaisheshika Prabhu always insists, we should take great advantage of those moments and learn to hear more from Krishna and implement it in our lives. So with that, I thank you for hearing and encouraging me and tolerating my faults. And let's hear with this sincerity and take maximum benefit and improve our spiritual lives. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for